This I know how to use. All right, so we are recording, ladies and gentlemen.
Oh yeah, we need it.
And now Lexi will forever be walking in front of the screen. Okay, so today we're going to talk about how to turn your note cards into what I call the hybrid outline / draft. So this is a step-by-step instructional guide for what you need to do. So if you're at home and it's like 1 o'clock in the morning before the outline is due on Wednesday of next week, you're going to go to my homework page and you're going to pull this up. And what you're going to do, you've already done the first 2 things on this list. You're going to pick a topic and you're going to take notes on the topic that includes correct bibliographical information. Those of you who turned in your note cards have already done the first 2 bullets, so check and check. All right, so what you're going to do is you're going to open up your note cards. Then what you're going to do is, if you haven't done already, label the subject of each note card. If you have, then you can get started right away on putting your note cards together. Okay, so once you have your note card document open, then you're going to open the hybrid outline draft template on my homework page. So, in case you don't remember how to do that, let's walk you through it. You go to the internet. You go to the school's webpage. Go to the department called English, because I am your English teacher. Then you click on my name, you click on 11R, and what you need to do is scroll all the way to the bottom. Is everyone watching? All the way to the bottom. And you click here, Hybrid Outline Draft. It's right below where you open the template for the note cards. So it's on my homework page. You open that up, and this is what appears. Okay, so the first thing you're going to do is you're going to put your name on there because you have to print this out and give it to me. Then when you're done with that, we're going to take a look at the different parts. So here we have the introduction. What belongs in the introduction?
The introduction.
There you go. Grabber, thesis, and how many main points? Actually, there are 3. All right, so I'm missing number 1. I forgot to put it here. So 3 main points. All right. This becomes your introductory paragraph when you are going to turn your outline into the research paper. Then you have your first body paragraph. Whatever you label as main point 1 in your intro, you copy and paste it into the first body paragraph right next to where it says main point 1. It's very easy. You're not reinventing the wheel. You're not thinking of another way to say what you said up here. Just copy exactly, paste it. Control A, Control C, Control V. Okay, or do it the long way. All right, so you put your main point here. And all of the details from your notes that belong under main point number 1, you are going to copy from your note card and paste it onto this outline. Does anyone have a question about that? Yes, Alexis.
So like where do you put in the box?
What box?
The note card box.
You're already done with the note cards. You're taking from the note card box
So like what
and
you
you're
put in the
putting
box,
here.
you put there.
Yeah, so I'm going to show you. I'm gonna illustrate this. This is just, let's take a look at what this looks like. So once you're done with your details, do you see the in-text citation? You need to include that. What does that mean? I don't understand. Of course not, because it's confusing. So I'm going to show you a visual. All right, so let's say you did your note cards and you did the homework that I've given you this past week, which is to label your note cards. And so here's a sample, which will not appear on my homework page. I don't know why this is not moving. Okay, so this student is doing a research paper on cyberbullying. Okay, so these are her notes. So she has her bibliographical information over here in the box where you were supposed to put it, and all of you who did your note cards did this correctly. I checked that, so that's important. And now you have here this particular note here. She summarized as a false sense of connection for cyberbullying. This information in the second box falls under effects of cyberbullying. And so then we scroll down, she has more effects, decreased productivity, then we're gonna have some issues with privacy, and that's all that we did because I'm using this as a sample. So she has several topics. As you go through and label your note cards, what you want to try and do is figure out which notes actually are kind of linked. And they should be according to the article that you've done, that you've gotten the information from. So what you're going to do, if you look back at my slideshow, what you're going to do next is, if you look at the third bullet, how to create main points. Look at your labeled note cards for topics that repeat. So try and have topics that repeat. Once you have repeated topics, what you're going to do is take that quick little brief topic and turn it into a sentence. That sentence becomes your main point. And you're going to have 3 main points. The good news is one of your main points has to be the counter argument. And most of you had notes on the counter argument. So one of your sections of the paper will be arguing the opposite of what you are trying to prove. Yes?
In the outline, where are we like explaining each note card?
Okay, in the outline you're not explaining anything.
You're just copying.
You're just copying and pasting your notes. The purpose of the outline is to organize the notes that you are going to use in the research paper. Then, when we need to turn, the next step after this is going to be turning your outline into your final copy. That's where you do your explaining and your commenting. So right now, we're still at the easy stage. The only thing that's a little bit complicated is coming up with your main points. And you can't do your main points until you label each of your note cards, which is why I've been saying that you need to do this for days and days and days. So once you label, then you have to try and turn, you're going to group them and figure out which ones you have the most information on, and they will become your main points. So to look back at the instructional slides, find the 3 most repeated topics and turn them into sentences. Those are your 3 main points. So I'm going to go back to that sample outline for the student who did cyberbullying. Okay, so those are her notes. And now this is a partial outline based on some of her notes. So do you see how she doesn't have a grabber? When you turn in your outline, you don't have to have a grabber either. I'm not going to deduct points if you don't have a grabber. Can you please sit behind Grace because I'm recording?
Yeah, sure.
Okay. All right, so, bless you.
Oh, she recorded?
When you need to have a grabber is when you do your research paper. Okay, so after this is collected, the next step is turn in your final copy, which is going to happen next marking period. That's when you have to have a grabber. So if you can't think of one, don't freeze. Just keep moving. All right, so then your thesis statement. You all have a thesis statement. Tonight, you can all go home and plug in your thesis statement. And you're almost, well, you're on your way. You're not almost done. And then again, you've got your main points. So her main point 1, and this is just a sample. We didn't do the whole thing. Her main point 1 is, her thesis is social media negatively affects society. Social media negatively affects society. And one of her main points is the effects of cyberbullying are deep and long-lasting. Okay, so she kind of summarized her summary of the notes, and that's fine. And look, Do you see how up here it's the effects of cyberbullying are deep and long lasting? And she copied it, and all she did is right next to main point 1 is she pasted it. Exactly as it appears above. She didn't change any words, she didn't do anything different, it's straight up copy and paste. Do you see how easy that is once you have your main points done? Okay, so now, we're going to look down, and she's going to go, or she did, she went back to her note cards, and she copied the most important details that she thought of here into the details section connected to this main point. So here's her first note, detail A, and do you see how on the template I say in-text citation? Do you guys see that? And there's a period at the end of the parentheses? Okay, that's where the period goes. All right, this means you need to tell the reader where the detail came from. All right, so let's take a look back at the student's paper. So this detail, the immediacy provided by social media, blah, 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 comes from Jung. You see Jung here? Okay, so now let's go double check on her note cards to see if she is here. The immediacy provided by social media, blah, blah, blah. That's the note. Let's see if it actually comes from Jung. Oh, look, there he is. There is Jung. So she has correctly cited her source right next to the detail, right after she copied it and pasted it into her outline. So the best way to do this is decide which notes you want to use, copy the portion you're going to use, stick it in the outline, and immediately put down where you got your source from. Because you're already on that page. Don't move to another page. Put your source in. Why did I put Jung instead of the negative effect of social media on society and individuals, which is the title of the article that she's using? Why did I go with the author's last name as opposed to the title? Okay, this is like so logical, it might be too easy. Tia, why do we go with Jung instead of the title? Yeah, it's the first thing there. That's it. You just copy the first thing there. So the first thing there is either going to be a last name or it's going to be a title. If you did your note cards correctly, then you just copy the first thing there. All right. Now let's go to one, because I think the next one in my sample is the title of an article. All right. So this next detail, detail B, comes from an article. This article had no author. So if there's no author, don't make one up. So let's go find that note card. We're looking for the cons of social media. Let's go back. So it's not this article. No, this would be Whiteman. This is also Whiteman. His first name is Honor, which is silly. Oh, here we go. The cons of social media. So this is the article, and the detail that is in the outline comes from this article. Now, do you see how long this article is? The cons of social media, the e-guillotine. That's a lot of words. It's too many words to put in an in-text citation. So what you're going to do is you're going to shorten it. Oops. The cons of social media, ... What is that punctuation called, the ... Does anyone know?
It's like a trail off, right?
That's what it does, but what's the name of it?
Oh,
I heard it over here. Ellipsis. It's an ellipsis. It means that there are words left out here. This is the universal symbol for there are words left out here. Okay? So that's what you do. So how do you decide how many words of your title, if it's too long, you're going to use? 3 or 4. That's it. No more than 3 or 4. Okay. So do you understand what it is that you have to do to take your notes and put them here in the outline? Okay. I'm going to go back to the slideshow to show you that all of what I've just said is actually explained. I wrote a script this morning. Okay, it's all explained here in these notes, and I'm gonna put these notes on my homework page. Okay, so let's look at the template. We went to the template. We looked at the intro. Okay, we did that one. Let's go to page 3. All right, so the body paragraph I just showed you. Copy and paste your main point 1 section from your intro into where it says main point 1. Are you guys all with me? Some of you falling asleep. This is being recorded. It's going to go on my homework page, you know. Devin, this is so true. I might not get anything to link up, but at least the slides will be up there. Anyway, what you're going to do is copy and paste all the details from your notes that you want to include next to the part labeled details. After each detail, you copy into the outline template that you, which you need to include here from your source. Then, how do you do that? You go to your bib card, which is the top of the notes, and you copy the first thing there. And that's either going to be the author's last name, or it's going to be the title of an article. And I even put down there, if it's a long title, shorten it. Okay, so there's your example. So everything that you've done for main point number 1, you repeat in main point 2 and main point 3. One of those main points, though, is going to be your counter argument. Please don't forget, you have to include your counter argument. Should your counter argument be main point 3?
No.
No. Never give the opposition the last word. Okay. So I think this is the last page of notes that I have on how to create an outline, which is also partly rough drafts. And this is where we get to the rest of the rough draft part. All right, so you're going to create a bibliography page, which is also known as a works cited page. In college, it's called a works cited page. And since I am prepping you for college by writing this research paper, you're going to call the last page of your research paper the works cited page. That's where you cite the works that you use in the paper.
Are we doing that?
How are we doing that? That's a great question. Yeah.
I said, aren't we doing it with the citations?
That's just the in-text citation. Yes. Okay. So now, is there a question? Okay, let's get to the rest of this so I can stop recording everything, and then I'll take your questions. Okay, so you have put your in-text citations, but I need the rest of the information in the works cited page. That's why you had to take all of that information in your bibliography card. Okay, so let's take a look at the template again that you're going to open up and start. All right, so main point 1, second body paragraph is main point 2. Your in-text citations. Oh, let me do this. Your detail D is going to be your own words. Explain how this main point supports the thesis. So it's kind of like your summary of the details in the main point that you've used and your connection to the thesis. You have to do this. If you don't do this on your outline, you are going to lose many, many points. I'd say you would lose 10 points per body paragraph, which means you're going to lose how many points? 30. Okay. Now, just another thing. Let's say you have quite a few details that you want to use in your paper, and you want to use more than A, B, and C. Bless you. Let's say you have 5 really important details you want to use. You can use this. This is just a template. You can modify it. So you can have A, B, C, D, E as details that you've gathered that you want to include. Then you're going to add F, and your F is going to be what D says. Okay, so you can add to these. What you can't do is subtract. You need at least 3 details per main point. Okay, so you can add but not remove to the template. Okay, so getting back to the last page of this outline. You've got a conclusion. Please don't skip the conclusion. Then look at this here. I have it underlined. The next page should be your works cited page in alphabetical order, taken from the note cards you used in this outline. So, here is the works cited page, and this is what you do. In case you didn't gather the information correctly, you need to make sure you have the author's last name, comma, first name, title of the book if you used a book, and the rest of this information. If you didn't use a book, and I don't think anyone for this paper did, author's last name, comma, first name, the title of the article, and the rest of this information. If there is no author, ignore this author's last name, comma, first name.
She's making it seem core. Like, Jesus, I just want to learn.
Whenever you're ready, the rest of the class would like to continue, both
That's
of
what I'm
you.
trying to say, that she doesn't seem good.
And Devin, you're continuing.
Oh, I'm sorry. I
Thank you.
apologize.
Okay, so let's say there is no author from your internet source. You just skip that part and start with the quote, which starts the title of your article. Okay? Now, I've given you some further information down below. Note, if this happens, do this. So you might want to take a look at that page. But let's take a look now at the sample from the student who was doing the cyberbullying paper. She has the title, The Cons of Social Media. So I should find the cons of social media and the rest of the title in the works cited page. And what else am I also going to be looking for in the works cited page? Or who? Jung, exactly. Okay, and I have to put them in alphabetical order. So what's going to come first, Jung or the? Jung, because J comes before T. Okay, so let's take a look, and this is why I need you guys to please print this out. Here's her works cited page. If she had done the rest of the paper, those other articles would appear, but there's a problem. What's the problem? There's no Jung. Jung is missing. She didn't copy the Jung information from her note cards and paste them into the works cited page of her hybrid outline draft. And this is the whole point of me saying to you, please add your in-text citation and your works cited page so I can find these kinds of mistakes so that you don't end up failing the research paper. Because if you don't include Jung in the works cited page, your paper is partially plagiarized. Do you see why I want you to include this? Okay, good. So many times students forget to do this, and it makes sense. It's not like you write research papers every day. Okay, it's a reminder of the types of things that you need to do. Everything that you need to do is kind of listed in the template. It's also going to be on that slideshow that we've been going through today in class. Step by step, everything that you need to do. I've had seniors fail a research paper mainly because their in-text citations don't match up with their works cited page. That's a plagiarized paper I can't pass here. And in senior year, if you don't write a passing research paper, you don't graduate, so you have to fix your errors. Okay? Does anyone have a question about this? This is a really easy fix. She's missing Jung. We go back to her note cards. And we just copy Jung. And we paste Jung. Here. So now this is mostly fine, but there is one problem. Say again? Yes, it has to be indented. Now the really weird thing about works cited page is that it wants you to forget how you normally write things. When you write paragraphs, the first paragraph, you indent the first line, everything else goes to the margin. The works cited page is operating under opposite day. So your first line starts at the margin, everything else in the citation gets indented, okay? So the format is going to be to the one below, the bane of visual media. This goes to the margin and everything else is indented. Now, it's not so easy to do this. So I have the cursor right next to the second line. I'm gonna hit the tab key. And then that happens. The whole thing indents. So let me go pull that to the end. And then the whole thing goes, everything goes. There is a way to do this by using the keyboard. I can never remember how to do it. And this aggravates me. So I'm just gonna outsmart the computer because I have a brain and I know how to do this. Here's what you do. You highlight the second line. And you cut it, so it's gone. You hit enter, you hit tab. So basically, you put your cursor where you want your information to be placed. Now, I'm going to paste what I just cut. And it's almost right. Okay, so the second line is where I want it, but now I've got this little hanging guy. Now if I hit tab, this should work. Shabam. Okay, there we go.
Wow.
All right, so that's how this is done. And another reason why I wanted you to look at this is, do you see how this article starts out with the and this article starts out with the? How do you know? How do you alphabetize it? What do you have to do? Yeah, go to the second word. Just keep going until you hit something that's different and alphabetized by that. And it doesn't matter when you alphabetize if you've got an author's last name or if you've got a title. Everything just gets alphabetized by first letter, usually. Yes. This is a project grade. Fill up 15% of your marking period average. Okay? So one other thing that I'd like to show you, do you see how, I keep saying that, I probably have 15 other things. So do you see how you've got single space within, and then there's a double space before your next one? This is the old format for how to do the works cited page. You can double space the whole thing if you like. Okay? I think this looks neater, but either way is fine. Okay. All right. So I want to show you, because this is going to end up being an issue. Do you see how in her details, she's copied everything, so she's got quotes around it. Do you see that? Because she copied exactly word for word. That's all you're doing. Make sure you have quotes around what you put here. Now, this is a full sentence. But she doesn't put the period in the quote. She did it correctly. Do not put the period inside the quote. The period goes after the citation. Okay? Because if you put a period after the quote, then junk is just going to be hanging there. If you put a period inside the quote and then after the parentheses by Jung, then you're saying Jung is a sentence all by itself. And that's not true. Jung is the person's last name. Okay? So everything goes together. The quoted part we know is quoted. You put the period at the end of the parentheses. If what's in quotes is a question mark, you put the period, you put the question mark at the end of the parentheses. Whatever the end mark of punctuation is, it goes after your citation. Comprenez-vous? That's French for do you understand? Mm-hmm. Okay. And just one last time here. Okay. So that's it. I'm going to stop recording right now.